In the midst of condos and hotels popping up along the waterfront, it's safe to say that the landscape of Portland is ever changing.
There are a lot of things that have been going on over the last 20 years on the waterfront, and David Wade has been watching them with a keen eye. He's a professional photographer. He has a show of his work that's on display right now at Merrill Memorial Library in Yarmouth, which consists of waterfront photos taken in Portland. Thanks for coming in. Nice to have you here.
Well, thank you very much.
You're a professional photographer. You've had assignments all over the world. What was it about 20 years or so ago that drew you to the Portland waterfront?
I think that the genuine, authentic character of it. I was a travel photographer and I was all around the world, and you'd see things that are attractive and there were stories there. I came back to Maine and I looked at that waterfront and I said, this is it. This is as exotic as anything around the world, and it's real, and that's what was important about it.
That realness, that authenticity comes from the fishing industry, fishermen, lobstermen, and so forth, and they've been squeezed out to some degree by commercial development, condos, hotels, that kind of thing. Is that what you wanted to capture, is a way of life that is at risk of going away?
Precisely. That's exactly what I saw. 20 years ago, it was even evident then that the writing was on the wall and the squeeze was on with the condos coming in, and sort of incompatible with a fishing industry. These people are up early in the morning, they make a lot of noise. It's not the smelliest of businesses, but you know, those things are really not compatible. And the importance of what I felt was the real life going on there, almost a society, you know. And it's funny, you wouldn't think of that, but there was really a society of people who worked the docks, and that they had one foot in the past and one in the present. There was so much tradition at stake. It was like living history.
You talk about some of the people, and we just saw one of them. Who are some of these characters that you have gotten to know over the years?
Well, I particularly spent time, while all the docks were interesting, I particularly spent time on Widgery Wharf, which was all lobster boats. And one of the people I particularly got close to was a family man, Leland Merrill, who was a lobsterman, and I met him when he was probably mid-70s, and he was throwing these 18, 20-pound traps 3 high, and I go, wow, yeah. And then across the dock on Widgery was Billy Floyd, who was about 76, and he was doing it too. And I thought, these guys are really something. And they accepted me after a while, because I was there, and not just fair weather, but I was there at odd hours in the rain and the blizzards.
You were there at 7 o'clock this morning.
I was, and that was late, wasn't it? It was a little late, but...
Yeah, you got to be up before sunrise. Come on, you slacker.
Thank you. Those docks are active. Yeah, that was really kind of a late sleeping.
So in your time, through your lens, what have you seen change over 20 years?
Well, I see a lot of it holding together, but I see this pressure of the docks getting smaller and smaller and more congested. The traffic, the amount of other non-marine development going on. For instance, there is a building being placed right now on Widgery Wharf, which is a 4-story building, which is office building, and that formerly was a float building company for making rafts and stuff. So there's a maritime business. If you look at where the lawyers, Merrill, what is it?
I'm going blank. One of the law firms.
I should have done this.
It's one of the major law firms that's down there.
Pierce Atwood, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Pierce Atwood, that was cold storage, and next to that is working waterfront. There was an urchin processing place there on the corner, which is now their parking lot. Out behind Pierce Atwood, that dry storage building, the trawlers dried their nets out and worked them. So this was all working area. Widgery too was getting the squeeze. You see that it just gets smaller. There were three or four less fish houses on Widgery Wharf right now than there were a year ago.
Let me ask you a little bit about the aesthetics. Why did you shoot in black and white?
Because there's a certain timeless quality to black and white, and that it doesn't reflect, you know, fashion and colors and this and that, but it really speaks to more time and age. And what I saw at work was sort of like I say, a living history, a timeless sort of history where these people were in a tradition. Many of them fathers were lobstermen and grandfathers, and their sons, and I have pictures of, Leland and his son, for instance, I mean, there's a family business.
So the chapters that remain to be written will tell whether the fishing and lobstering industry stays a part of the working waterfront, to be determined. Dave Wade, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you being
thank
here.
you.
If you
I hope folks get out and appreciate the working
People should get down there and take a look. It's a lot of fun to walk around.
It's a real treasure, and that's what makes Maine great.
Again, Dave's photographs on display through June 29th at Merrill Memorial Library in Yarmouth. You can check them out there, and we're going to be right back.